Hello and welcome back. It's a beautiful Wednesday on Crypto. Oh my God, we have some big news coming in. We've got the government crypto report dropping. We have the final takes on the Roman Storm trial. We might even get a verdict today. Let's just hop right into it. Boom. So the news comes out today with Washington, D.C., the White House releasing this giant crypto report around 130 pages, calling it the golden age of crypto. Now, I haven't gotten my hands on the report itself. I'm going to dive in deeper. I'll let you know if there's anything else that I discover come tomorrow. But the nuts and the bolts of it are that the government is really looking to take the lead and make the United States the leader in the field for digital assets, cryptocurrency, and blockchain technology. Now, getting into that, some of the notes coming out of the report are that it did not discuss any sort of strategic Bitcoin reserve. And, well, okay, I can live with that. I don't think the strategic Bitcoin reserve is all that interesting, to be frank with you. If they want to maintain a cash pile of the seized Bitcoin and basically say, hey, we're going to hold on to these because we believe that the price of Bitcoin goes up, or the value or the sovereignty of holding this asset, sure. Do I believe that they should ever go out and use taxpayer dollars to buy Bitcoin? Hell no. That defeats the entire purpose. However, what we do see coming out is more endorsement for clear regulations. Basically, this is another line in the long list of items looking at the SEC, at the CFTC, at any sort of regulatory body, and of course the court system saying, hey, we want to make this more permissible. We want to establish the swim lanes so that our people can get out there and build really good fundamental product. They want to stay ahead of the curve. And of course, this goes hand in hand with AI and with Mark Zuckerberg from Meta releasing an announcement that he feels they're getting into the self-reinforcing loop of these AI technologies, self-correcting, augmenting, and moving closer to super intelligence. We are going to want to lead the financial technology, the trust technology that will be utilized by AI in this new digital sphere that we exist in. Now, one thing that is very positive about this working group also addresses banking regulators, and this has been a major problem. If you remember, Operation Chokepoint 2.0 under Biden actually pursued banks and went as far as to forcefully shut one down, Signature Bank, who was not actually insolvent, but was doing and taking on a lot of the crypto accounts of Silvergate, who did suffer an insolvency and a closure. However, that being said, we are seeing a major shift. Now, if you look at Cynthia Loomis and everything going on in Wyoming, alongside Caitlin Long, who has been trying to establish Custodia Bank for really the past 5+ years, she has been seeking a bank that will support crypto in a highly regulated and safe and risk-off way. Now, time and time again, Custodia Bank has hit walls. They faced immovable objects, and that is because the banking regulators simply did not want a bank to be friendly with crypto. Of course, now that this is happening, we will see Custodia have to compete, no longer having a first mover advantage, and we really can't see this any more clearly than, holy moly, JP Morgan Chase partners with Coinbase to launch deposit token for institutional clients. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Jamie Dimon here has been a naysayer of Bitcoin for forever. He went as far as to naysay crypto time and time again while still offering it to their institutional clients. I mean, utterly crazy. What goes even farther here is that this is really merging the bank account and the crypto wallet. So what is being said here is that not only will they open up functionalities to their institutional clients, we will see a bigger crossover between users, their website interface, and the Coinbase app and its Web3 capabilities. So one of the craziest things to come out of this announcement is that you may be able to buy crypto assets with a credit card, a Chase credit card specifically. That is so dangerous. I can't even, it blows my mind. It boggles my brain. Honest to God, in the past cycles, I've seen many people from the Black community try to come in at a very top of the cycle and just get completely wrecked. So a lot of the people that don't understand credit cards and kind of use, credit can be a great thing or a terrible thing. Really depends on how you use it. And the masses and the standard normie folk, they really get the bad end of the credit card, right? Where they buy things that they can't afford because they're convinced that they need them, and this comes back to bite them. Now, if people see Bitcoin going up and at the top of a cycle take out a lot of credit and Bitcoin crashes, I mean, we're obviously in for a lot of hurt. But this does mean that we are expanding the access to what you can do. You might be able to spend your cryptos via a debit card. It's hard to say exactly how this is going to work, but very interestingly, it does look like you'll be able to use your cashback points from a Chase Sapphire card to buy crypto assets. That could be a very juicy use of that return of capital that you get from a credit card. Now, that being said, I've said this before, Crypto is here to destroy credit cards in a nutshell. I hate credit cards. I hate the amount of KYC information they leak, and I hate that there's fees baked into society for using this new and improved digitized version of payment, new and improved being from the 90s. However, crypto completely skips over the need for any sort of credit card issuer, and I would like to see that stablecoin use and for peer-to-peer payments to just take the lead that they deserve because they are superior technology. Now, interestingly, we do see China's e-commerce giant JD.com, and they've had a fund in crypto for as long as I can remember. JD Capital has had a little crypto venture fund. So this is not like super new to them. They're not completely in untested waters, but they registered 2 potential stablecoin linked entities, Jcoin and Joycoin, ahead of Hong Kong's stablecoin regime launch. And Hong Kong, for those that don't know, is very much a regulatory sandbox for crypto and all things crypto. I've worked with them on their securities token regulation, and it was actually a goal of mine to have Hong Kong be very competitive with the US to try to kickstart the US's interest. Of course, Donald Trump got elected, and we've kind of skipped past that, but this is very big. This is a massive e-commerce giant, and if they will start accepting stable coins, well, then that just goes right into my point on peer-to-peer payments being superior to credit cards. No need for that middleman. Now, going back to Tornado Cash, this Wednesday, we actually do believe that we will see both cases being rested, and there might even be a verdict. What's kind of crazy is just the outcome of how they've been approaching it. And the New York Southern District has not really come out very strong in this case. The assault against Dragonfly and the investors actually went all the way up to Clayton in the SEC, and he pulled back saying, we didn't mean for the investors to get dragged in and to be prosecuted directly. That was not the intent. So that is getting thrown out, and they're just kind of losing their takes over and over again. One thing that I thought was interesting was said he didn't think that those were good examples of crypto being used in crime, but more like a crime being committed on the blockchain. If someone robbed a store, I wouldn't say that the store was used in crime. So this is all going in front of the jury, and of course that jury is a little bit older. Now we have a take from Molly White, who is a very rooted anti-crypto take. She is a naysayer of the industry, constantly talking about it, but she's covering this a little bit and says, as the prosecution of Tornado Cash developer Roman Storm unfolds, the government theory is colliding with Trump admin policies that have left prosecutors arguing that Storm should have followed compliance rules that are no longer allowed to say he was required to follow. Basically, they are having to go back in time saying, hey, look, these were the rules, but the rules have since changed. So this is all very interesting. It's evolving in real time. And realistically, I mean, the case is looking pretty weak to the point that the defense was considering putting Roman on trial himself. And they said, let's not get you to say anything that could be used against you. Let's pull it back. We believe that we're in the dominant position. So he did not testify. Now, and one of the absolute craziest facts to come out of this whole trial is that the Chainalysis, the private company working with the FBI, did go on stand and admit that they were running a relayer for Tornado Cash. So the prosecutors trying to say, hey, we're tracing these transactions. I mean, they're running a relayer. If you run a relayer, you're part of the distributed network that moves the money. You should be as guilty as the developers of the code. They wrote the code and they put it on the internet, but you're running a relayer that maintains the uptime and maintains the functionality of the protocol. So it's sort of this catch-22 where it's like, guys, aren't you sort of in the same boat as Roman himself? This is utterly nuts. So that was a pretty big revelation that came out of the prosecution and their testimony from the Chainalysis lead on the topic. Now, while we wait for the Roman Storm trial to come to an end, we do have an update in a famous Bitcoin mixer called Samurai Wallet, who those devs have pled guilty to unlicensed money transmission conspiracy in exchange for dropping the money laundering conspiracy. So the federal sentencing guidelines for the 2 charges together would have been 160 to 210 months, but the maximum for money transmission charge is 5 years. So they are taking a plea deal to go from what could have been a 5-year maximum to obviously something that's going to be sitting in the months. Now, the difference between Roman Storm and the Samurai Wallet devs on Bitcoin, not only is it that Tornado Cash was on Ethereum and Samurai Wallet is on the Bitcoin network, they both function and support similar things. However, the Samurai Wallet developers, they did market this as a money laundering tool. They built this in the United States, and they were very bombastic and loud about its utility in breaking the law. Roman Storm, on the other hand, is being argued that no, they built this tech and they weren't very happy when they found that North Korea was using it in the exploits, but that this was made for privacy enhancement. And well, criminals can use privacy enhancement tools just like they can use a cell phone and its encryption. So this is not great for developers because the government can use this as a precedent to say, hey, devs are in control of things. But at the same time, who's to blame them? They were looking at serious jail time. So these two things are sort of happening in the same frame, but they are not to be confused because the Samurai Wallet devs did take those egregious steps to kind of market themselves as a criminal enterprise. And with that being said, I mean, there's a lot going on right now. It is moving bullish just in these partnerships that we're seeing. I mean, JP Morgan and Coinbase, that's utterly nuts. The adoption of stablecoins and their proliferation, like wowie wow wow. We're going to start to see technology that accepts them everywhere. We have Plasma Chain led by Peter Thiel's company, Founders Fund, and coming from the Tether ecosystem. They have raised hundreds of $millions, both in liquidity lockups and token investments. So they raise capital just around the liquidity pool to issue these stablecoins, and people get to put capital in and capture that yield back. This is the protocol sort of doing autonomously what Tether does as a business. It's a very interesting idea, and they're coming after the Tron network and its high use of stablecoins. So again, we're not only are we seeing the Genius Bill pass for stablecoin proliferation, we're seeing entire blockchains that are focused at fee-free stablecoin movement across the globe, move money anywhere, anytime for free. That is going to be a very tough thing to compete with. They are extremely well funded, and they are again backed by Peter Thiel, who has a way of changing the world. So all of this is happening very fast. Jack Mallers of Zap and 21 Bitcoin, a public company, a digital asset treasury company, is saying, look, there's not enough Bitcoin at $120,000 for me to buy to meet the demand that we're getting in. So it is assumed that the price of Bitcoin is going into discovery, maybe just like what Udi talked about, that you have these new buyers that see $100,000 as a floor, not a ceiling, and that we could be seeing a very prominent bull run. Hard to say, but these are exciting times. Of course, we do see volatility. We're going up, we're going down. So keep your leverage low, stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow.